You know, I often find myself reflecting on past hunts, and I think that's normal for everybody. I mean, I think it's all in our nature to do that. I mean, we hunt for many reasons, and I think one of the greatest things that we get from hunting is the memories we make in the field. And this morning, as I'm tuning up these box calls, I think of where my love for box calls came from. And I'll tell you the story. April 23rd, no, sorry, April 21st, 2003, I was up in northern Wisconsin at my aunt and uncle's cabin with my dad, and everybody had woken up early or woken up late that morning, and which is kind of usual for up there. But we're sitting around. Everybody was drinking coffee, whatnot, and I was 12. Well, my grandpa pulls in the driveway, and he had spotted some birds that he had permission to hunt, and so I loaded up all my stuff. I had a pop-up blind with me that I was going to set up and sit in and whatnot. So we get to the property, birds aren't in the field, and he's like, "Well, we know they're here, so let's just hang tight." And so we got into a spot where we thought, we would, or where he thought that we would be able to get an opportunity. Well, not long after we got there and got set up, I got this big blind set up. I got my chair out, and my grandpa ended up sitting about 20 or 30 yards away from me to my right. There was a there was an imprint in the ground, and he ended up laying down in there to get out of the view or out of sight of the turkeys. Well, he's calling, and all of a sudden some birds make their way out into a field, and I'm not kidding you. This field was 600 yards away, easily 600 yards, and it was a small group of birds. But that call was so loud that it reached them birds, and it pulled three longbeards out of that small group, and they came 15 yards in front of me. And we had those big rubber, um, the big rubber feeding hen decoys out in front of me. I had my Mossberg 20 gauge youth model. I think I was shooting 2 3/4 inch shells. And as these birds are coming, my heart is just pounding. And they're getting closer, and they're getting closer, and then they're running. Next thing you know, they're in the setup. And I'm sitting there. I got tunnel vision. I'm shaking. And one bird broke off from the other two. And when I had an opportunity, I shot. And when I pulled the trigger, all three birds jumped up in the air. They were running around. I had fallen backwards from the shotgun blast. My gun had jammed, and I'm sitting there trying to reload it. I get up, and the birds are still like wondering what the heck happened. And I'm sitting there, and I bring the gun up, and I'm aiming, and I pulled the trigger, and they were probably about 25 yards away at this point. Pulled the trigger, missed, and then they started sprinting away. I reloaded the shotgun, and I aimed, and I got in front of one, and I pulled the trigger, and I dropped him at 49 yards with my 20 gauge youth model. And I couldn't believe it. I ripped open that zipper on that back of that blind, and I went running out there, and that bird was dead. And I remember, and I always remember, my grandpa's reaction, my grandpa's face, how big his smile was that morning. It was pretty damn special. And I'm just sitting here working on box calls, thinking of that. And now I'm thinking this spring is going to be, I'm taking my son out for his first year turkey hunting. And I'm just thinking the memories that are made out in the field. And one of those memories from that morning, not only did I get to shoot my first turkey, not only did I get to share with my grandpa, but that's where my passion, my love for the box call came from. And 4 years ago, this month, I made my first box call that we now produce. And just crazy to think that something that happened 24 years ago plays into today. So when you are out looking for a new call or whatever, just think of the memories. When you spend your money, just think of the memories you're going to make over however many years you're going to have that call in your arsenal. Just think of the people you'll be around, the sights you'll see. I mean, there's just so much that happens out there that a lot of people don't understand or appreciate, who are not involved in the hunting world or who view hunting as a not so good thing. I beg to differ, because since the beginning of time, since the beginning of man, we've always hunted. And I think that's extremely important for all of us to cherish and value and carry on. And in this day and age, it's crazy. It's scary. But I think all of us sharing our stories, sharing our memories, and passing on the tradition is what's going to help keep the hunting world alive and well. So that's just my thoughts for this morning. I just